Our world was once nothing like the planet we call home today. No blue skies, no forests, no oceans, no life. More than 4.5 billion years ago, the newborn Earth was a massive ball of fire, a violent world wrapped in molten lava and toxic smoke, a planet constantly bombarded by giant space rocks, crashing with explosive force. Earth was chaos. Earth was destruction. Earth was hell. But from that hell began the greatest story in the universe, the story of life. Welcome to Episode 3, Ancient Earth, Volcanoes, Lava, and the First Oceans. Imagine standing on the surface of young Earth. Under your feet, not solid ground, but an endless ocean of boiling magma. Above your head, not blue skies, but dark, choking clouds filled with ash and lit by constant lightning. The planet's crust, struggling to form, kept cracking open. Volcanoes erupted everywhere, shooting fire and poisonous gas into the boiling sky. Oceans, not yet, the air. Impossible to breathe. Any drop of water that existed instantly turned to steam. This planet was a furnace, with surface temperatures reaching nearly 2000 degrees Celsius. Huge lakes of lava stretched to the horizon, the ground shivering with violent quakes, and every few minutes, another asteroid slammed into the surface, melting everything all over again. Earth was desperately trying to cool down. Slowly, very slowly, a thin, fragile crust began to form over the magma. These were the first patches of solid land, the first rocks, the first small step towards stability. But as this delicate surface formed, a huge question remained. Where did all of Earth's water come from? How did a burning world become a blue one? Scientists believe two major sources created our oceans. The first came from space. Water-rich asteroids and comets, essentially giant, dirty snowballs, rained down on the planet for millions of years. Each one that crashed into Earth delivered its precious cargo of frozen water molecules. More and more collisions meant more and more water, which instantly vaporized into steam, adding to the thick clouds swirling in the sky. The second source was Earth itself. The same volcanoes that spewed fire and lava also released massive amounts of gas from the planet's interior, including huge quantities of water vapor. This steam rose and joined the clouds created by the asteroids. The atmosphere grew thicker, heavier, and saturated with moisture. But it was still far too hot for rain. For millions of years, Earth waited. Then, finally, a turning point. The constant bombardment from space began to slow down. The asteroid impacts became less frequent. Volcanic activity continued, but the surface finally had a chance to cool. As it cooled, the thick clouds grew even denser. Darkness covered the entire planet. Thunder roared continuously. And then, after millions of years of waiting, it started to rain. This wasn't a storm that lasted for days or even years. This was a deluge that lasted for thousands, perhaps even millions of years, without stopping. Imagine oceans pouring from the sky. A single, planet-wide rainstorm of unimaginable scale. As this endless rain fell, it began to fill the lowest parts of the new crust, forming deep basins across the planet. The water gathered, cooled the hot rock, and spread farther and farther. Soon, the first oceans were born. They were vast, dark, and mysterious, covering almost the entire surface of the Earth. But these early oceans were nothing like the calm, blue waters we know today. They were acidic and dangerously hot, like boiling pools of chemical soup. They were filled with toxic compounds like methane and ammonia, and were constantly shaken by massive underwater volcanic eruptions. Lightning struck the water again and again, a powerful force mixing chemicals and energy together. And somewhere, in the depths of this restless, violent ocean, life was preparing to begin. The air on ancient Earth was just as hostile. There was no oxygen. Instead, the atmosphere was a thick, suffocating blend of carbon dioxide, methane, hydrogen, sulfide, and ammonia. It would have smelled like rotten eggs and burning metal. Anyone from our time would have elapsed in seconds. Giant hurricanes, larger than entire continents, raged across the globe. Meteor strikes still shook the ground. Earth was simply too violent for anything complex to survive. Yet, every single eruption, every storm, every bolt of lightning was secretly building the ingredients for life. The planet was a giant chemistry lab, mixing, churning, and creating the very molecules that would one day breathe, move, evolve, and think. For millions of years, Earth remained in this fierce battle with itself. Volcanoes spilled lava directly into the new oceans, causing massive steam explosions. The crust would crack open again and again, destroying old land while creating new land elsewhere. But with every eruption, new minerals were released into the water. Iron, sulfur, carbon, the fundamental elements of biology. The volcanoes were shaping both Earth's physical surface and the chemical recipe for life. So while destruction was happening everywhere, creation was happening at the exact same time. Lava reached the water, creating huge explosions of steam. New land formed from the cool rock, and rich, life-giving minerals spread throughout the young oceans. This violent transformation continued until, finally, Earth began to reach a balance. Fire would still burn, but not everywhere. The oceans grew deeper and more stable, eventually covering over 70% of the surface. As the atmosphere cleared, the clouds thinned, allowing the first rays of sunlight to finally reach the sea. The crust strengthened, forming the cores of the first early continents. At last, the stage was set. The ingredients were ready. The energy was everywhere. A miracle was about to happen. Deep inside the ocean, the first spark of life was only moments away from existence. From fiery chaos to oceans of possibility, ancient Earth had changed everything. Without the volcanoes, there would be no minerals. Without the oceans, there would be no chemistry lab. Without the storms, there would be no energy to spark at all. And without any of this, you and I would have never had the chance to exist. This is where our journey continues. In our next episode, Origin of Life, the first cells of Earth, we will dive into the greatest mystery of all. How did life actually begin? How did non-living chemicals assemble themselves into the first living cell? And how did that one simple organism pave the path toward intelligence, consciousness, and humanity? Join us as we explore the moment the impossible became real. Thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. The adventure has only just begun.